Good morning and welcome. This is part of the Audit, Control, Governance, Risk and Compliance Series 1. As part of this series, we will be covering 11 areas. The details are as shown. Good morning. Welcome to this series of Audit, Control, Governance, Risk and Compliance. As part of this series, today we will be touch basing on a critical topic, controls. Every organization, regardless of its industry, relies on structured process to achieve efficiency, consistency, and reliability. However, merely designing a process is not enough. Ensuring that it operates as intended requires a system of controls. Controls are mechanisms put in place to guide, monitor, and regulate activities within a process. To verify their effectiveness, organizations conduct control testing. This series explores the importance of controls and controlled testing, discussing their advantages and disadvantages in various contexts. We'll also look at the various types of controls or general controls that we in operation require as part of the design. We'll go through them in detail. Let's understand controls in a process. Controls refers to measures or mechanisms that help manage and mitigate risk associated with the process. There are various types of controls. For this discussion, we will be looking at namely preventive controls, detective controls, corrective controls, directive controls, compensating controls, deterrent controls, recovery controls, and mitigating controls. These controls work together to ensure processes function effectively, reduce risk, and maintain compliance with internal and external regulations. Let's go through each of them. Let us look at each control with some examples so we have clarity of thought on what these actually look like on the ground. These are examples. You might have few more or many more. An example which would be much better than what has been presented here. Do share your feedbacks in your comments. So let's start. Preventive control. The example for this would be the role-based access control to limit unauthorized system access. Most of your technical guys would know about the RBAC, wherein we restrict access to a system or a resource, a folder or otherwise through the role that individual or a group plays. Beyond the role, they cannot access any other resource. So that's an example of preventive control. The second one example would be segregation of duty. It is about separating, example in this case, separating the payment authorization from execution. Many would be familiar with segregation of duties. That's exactly what preventive control is. It's a preventive control because it is there to avoid errors or irregularities before they occur. They are preventing something from happening. The second control is detective control. This is a control wherein there are alerts to detect unusual login patterns or file access. A cybersecurity guy or an operation guy dealing with systems would understand this. When you get an alert on unusual logins, you get a notification. That's because the system is watching over those assets or resources and triggers a note to the operator. That's a detective control. The other alternative example would be the daily reconciliation of bank statements to detect any gaps. This is something which an operation guy, a banker who is doing the reconciliation on a daily basis or end of day would be able to relate to. A detective control identify and detect errors or irregularities after they have occurred. That's the difference between preventive and detective. Preventive is preventing something from happening. Detective is identifying when something has occurred. The next control is corrective controls. Corrective control example of this is applying a security patch after a vulnerability is detected. A corrective control fixes the issue that have been detected and restores the system on the process. It's an after effect, but it is there to correct the gap or fix. The second example is updating the compliance document after a failed audit. This is something which most of you who are associated in some form of the audit, wherein you had a gap, it was identified, and as part of one of the action would be to update your documentation so that in future similar issues do not occur. That's correcting the flaw. That's corrective control. The next one is compensating control. Compensating control provides alternative measures when ideal controls can't be implemented. Example in this case is independent review of transactions where segregation isn't possible, enhanced monitoring where access restriction can't be enforced fully. Some of you in operations or from a technical team might be aware of change review. There was requirement of a change to be done in the system. You have gone through all the approval process. You have implemented the change on the weekends or on weekdays. The change is successful. Everyone is happy. But then the question arises, was the change done exactly the way it was approved, or was there any deviation? The idea behind this is to check whether there was anything which was abnormal or unauthorized. This is sort of a compensating control. It is sometimes called as an unauthorized change review. But again, it is after the fact. But it is a compensating control. If there is anything which is found not in line with what was approved, the triggering action would be to reverse it, fix it, investigate the reason. If there is a process issue, then go to the corrective control and figure out how to do it, what is required to be done. The next control is directive controls. Directive control is there to encourage desired behavior through guidelines and instructions. It's giving a direction. Example, mandatory compliance training for all employees or acceptable use policy for corporate IT assets. Anything which gives you a direction is a control, and it's categorized as directive control. The next one is deterrent controls. Warning banners at the login about unauthorized access and monitoring is one. Deterrent control can also be correlated to when you enter a restricted area, you might have a warning sign. Or at a very simple level, once you try to enter a house, you might have a warning on the gate of the dangers inside, or any other banner which alerts you before you take the next step. Is a deterrent control, is a sample of deterrent control. Internal audit schedule made known to all also acts as a deterrent. The fear of a review, an audit, sometimes also ensures no unauthorized activities are done because there is a fear of an audit which can catch things up. It's also a form of deterrent. Recovery control. This is, as the word says, recovering from something which would have happened, unfortunate. So restoring data from backup after a ransomware attack is an example. A recovery control helps restore system and operation after an incident. A recovery control is about activating a business continuity plan during a regulatory breach. So go by the word as itself, recovery. Next one is mitigating control. Mitigating control is there to reduce the severity or impact of a risk that cannot be completely eliminated. Example, dual sign-off for high-value transaction, encryption of sensitive data to reduce breach impact. So in summary, we have this 8 generally used controls. So now the question arises, do we use all the 8? Possible. But generally in operation, 4 controls are seen to be used frequently. Preventive control, which is designed to stop errors or fraud before they occur. Detective control, which is used to identify errors or anomalies after they have occurred. Corrective control addresses and rectify issues once detected. And then the last, which is the directive control. These provide guidance and direction to ensure that processes are followed correctly. Do note, these controls work together to ensure processes function efficiently, reduce risk, and maintain compliance with internal and external regulations. Let's now review the importance of control in a process. Control plays a crucial role in identifying, mitigating, and managing risk. Whether financial, operational, strategic, or compliance related, risk can threaten the success of an organization. By implementing controls, businesses can proactively address potential issues before they escalate. Many industries are subjected to strict regulation, such as SOX for financial reporting or GDPR for data privacy. Controls help ensure compliance with these laws, avoiding penalties, lawsuits, and reputational damage. Well-designed controls streamline process by eliminating inefficiencies and redundancies. They promote standardization and automation, reducing errors and improving overall performance. Controls help maintain financial accuracy and prevent fraud by ensuring transactions are properly recorded, authorized, and reviewed. This is particularly crucial in financial reporting and corporate governance. Organizations hold valuable assets, including physical resource, intellectual property, and sensitive information. Controls protect these assets from theft, mismanagement, or unauthorized access. Let's now look at the role of a control testing. Control testing evaluates whether controls are functioning as intended. These processes includes examining design effectiveness, which is whether controls are properly designed, and operating effectiveness, that is whether they function in practice. Organizations typically use various methods for control testing, namely walkthrough, reperformance, observation, inquiry and interviews, and document review. Let's go through them one by one. Walkthroughs. This is a place where reviewing a control by tracing a transaction or process from initiation to completion. That's walkthrough. When we manually execute a control to verify its effectiveness, this is known as reperformance. Monitoring employees or systems to confirm adherence to control is categorized as observation. Discussing controls with personnel responsible for their execution comes under inquiry and interviews. Examining policies, reports, and system log to verify control activities comes under documentation review. Let's now look at advantages of control and its control testing. Implementing and testing controls ensures that processes are reliable and consistent, reducing the likelihood of errors, fraud, or failures. Accurate and controlled process provide reliable data, enabling informed decision making. Manager can trust financial report, operational metrics, and compliance status. While implementing controls may involve initial cost, it ultimately leads to cost saving by preventing errors, fraud, regulatory penalties, and operational inefficiency. Investors, customers, employees, and regulator gain confidence in an organization that demonstrates strong internal controls. This trust translates into better market reputation and business relationship. Effective controls help organizations comply with legal requirements, minimizing the risk of lawsuits, fines, and reputational damage. Controls testing identifies gaps and weaknesses, allowing organizations to improve and refine their processes continuously. This adaptability ensures long-term success. While we have seen and understand the benefits of the controls and its testing, we also have to be aware of some of the challenges that we have with controls. The first one is on cost. Developing and maintaining a robust control system can be expensive, requiring investments in technology, personnel, and training. Designing, implementing, and testing controls take time and effort, which can slow down operation, especially in a fast-paced industry. Excessive control can create unnecessary bureaucracy, leading to inefficiencies, delays, and frustration among employees. Having controls in place does not guarantee complete security. Over-reliance on controls can lead to complacency, where employees assume risks are entirely mitigated. This is one which an operation or risk manager and auditor will always find gaps, because this is what exactly happens on ground once we feel that we have enough control in place, and that's where it breaks. Employee may resist controls if they perceive them as restrictive or cumbersome. This resistance can reduce compliance and effectiveness. Too many controls can hinder flexibility and innovation, making it difficult for employees to adapt to new challenges and opportunities. Now we have seen the benefits that we get with good controls and control testing. We also seen the challenges which comes with controls. Now let's look at from the middle. It's about balancing the controls and also managing the efficiency. To maximize the benefit of controls while minimizing their drawbacks, organizations should adapt a risk-based approach. This involves focusing on high-risk areas to allocate resource effectively. This is about prioritizing critical controls. The next is using technology to streamline control process and reduce manual effort. This is about automating where possible. Regularly assessing and updating controls to remain relevant in a changing environment. This is about adaptation. Educating staff on the importance of control and encouraging a compliance-driven culture is critical. This is where the awareness part plays a role. In conclusion, controls refer to the mechanism and procedures designed to ensure an organization's objectives are met, while control testing involves evaluating whether these controls are functioning as intended and effectively mitigating risk. Controls and control testings are fundamental to ensuring the effectiveness, efficiency, and integrity of any process. While they provide significant advantage such as risk mitigation, compliance, and operational efficiency, they also come with challenges like cost, complexity, and resistance. Striking the right balance between control and flexibility is essential for organization to achieve sustainable success. By continuously refining and testing controls, businesses can protect their assets, enhance decision making, and maintain stakeholder trust in an ever evolving landscape. Thank you for being with me till now. So, as part of the Audit Control Governance Risk and Compliance Series 1, we have touched base on 8 chapters, which is the introduction, the history on banking, the regulators in banking, governance, risk, compliance, audit, and controls. We have 3 more chapters in this series. I assure you it's going to be exciting as we will now enter the territory of specific domains. So thank you. This is going to be an exciting journey from now. See you. Thank you very much. Take care. Have a good day.